on YouTube and using Zoom for our council meetings due to COVID-19. I'll ask if there's any declaration of peculiar interest or general nature thereof from members of council. Seeing none, and I will just note that Councillor Brody is unable to make it into the meeting today. I'm assuming it's a good day out there for being in the field, so that's where he will be. So unfortunately, he's not able to join us. We'll hop into the minutes of our previous meeting, which is May 19th. Do you have a mover and seconder for those minutes? Okay, so we have Deputy Mayor Hendricks and Councillor McKinnon. Is there any errors or omissions in those minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, and that's carried. Okay, so we have 2 items for timed events and delegation. So the first one is at 7:05, and we have Alan McRobert, and it's a planning proposal, and hopefully he'll be able to jump on board on Zoom. And at 7:30, we have from the County of Middlesex, it's the servicing agreement and just an introduction of the county employees that will be assisting us over the next 6 months. So with that, we have our correspondence. So our next regular meeting is June 15th, and then July 6th, and then July 20th. And hopefully at one of those future meetings, we can maybe do this face-to-face. Our recommended readings. So item number 1 is from the Saville Bayfield Conservation Authority, and it's their AGM report for May 2020. Followed by the Board of Directors meeting from May 2020, and then their minutes from April 2020. Item number 2 is from St. Clair Region Conservation Authority, and it's their meeting highlights for May. And then item number 3 is from Blue Water Recycling, and it's their meeting highlights for May 2020. Okay, we'll hop into the action required, and the first one is from Cambridge, and it's a resolution for provincial funding. Any comments from members of council?
File.
Nobody's jumping up and down to make a motion for that one, so I'm going to assume that we're going to file that one. Alrighty, so we'll go into the next one, which is the City of Kitchener. It's a resolution regarding universal basic income. I'm going to be looking for a motion from council to resolve that council receive and file correspondence CC1 to CC5. Okay, Councillor McKinnon and Councillor Clark, all those in favor? And that's carried. All right, so it is 7:05. Jennifer, do we have Alan on the call yet?
No, Morgan's moderating.
Oh, sorry.
So he's just called into the office. So Lisa's on the phone with him right now, trying to walk him through.
Okay. So hopefully when he is able to get on, we'll just slot him into whenever that is.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so with that, our next staff report, our first staff report is our Public Works Manager, and we have our Public Works Manager, Coulter Cahill, and you're on the phone.
Thank you, Mayor Smith. The first report I have tonight is an application for grant funding, Municipal Asset Management Program. The Local Authority and Services Program, as established under AMO Business Services, provides many competitively priced services to the public sector. Street Scan is offered through LAS and provides an automated road and sidewalk assessment service. The data collection is completed with a vehicle that records an optical 3D camera view of the roadway surface, assessing distresses such as bumps and cracks and their extent and severity, while a 360-degree camera captures the entire right-of-way and can assess additional assets. Basically, the Federation of the Canadian Municipalities, FCM, has made grant funding available under the Municipal Asset Management Program with a total cap of $50,000 per municipality. The Public Works Directors from all the local municipalities in the Middlesex have agreed to make a joint application for this funding. A joint application would qualify each municipality for up to 90% of the cost of the project, as opposed to only 80% if applying individually. Adelaide Metcalfe would see our costs reduced from approximately $18,392 to $1,839. A summary of the cost to each municipality is attached. Additional savings are being realized through this team effort. The county will be hosting the software and access will be provided to each local municipality. This setup will greatly reduce our setup costs for the software and provide a data backup and security through the county's established practices. Based on the township being successful in obtaining funding from FCM for the grant, the total cost of the municipal asset management program for road assessment, so the township's portion is approximately $3,000, which will be reflected under roads miscellaneous in the 2020 budget. The increase from $1,800 to $3,000 is based on any incidentals that may occur with the project. There is $30,000 in the 2020 budget under roads miscellaneous. Basically, in a nutshell, this will give us data on road repair prioritization instead of just personal opinion. It will give us numbers to go off of to create a much more accurate asset management plan. This will help advance our roads planning capacity.
There we go. Thank you, Coulter. Is there any questions or comments from members of council?
No.
Okay, seeing none. So we have three motions for this one. The first one is just to receive the report. Mover and seconder for that. Councillor McKinnon and seconded by Councillor Clark. Okay, all those in favor? And that's carried. And then the next motion there is to direct staff to apply for the grant opportunity from FCM. Okay. Deputy Mayor Hendricks and Councillor Clark. All those in favor? And that's carried. And then the next one there is resolved that the Township of Adelaide Metcalfe commits up to $3,000 for the 2020 budget towards the cost of the FCM Municipal Asset Management Program. Okay, that's Councillor McKinnon and Deputy Mayor Hendricks. All those in favor? And that's carried. Okay, and Coulter, before we jump into your second report, I believe we have Alan McRobert on the Zoom call here. So we're going to do that delegation before we do your second report.
Sounds good.
Okay. Okay, so welcome, Alan. I think you're on there. You are muted. I'm not sure if we can get that done either from Morgan or yourself. There
Yeah, does that do anything?
Yeah, we can hear you now. And council did receive some information provided by Jennifer, our clerk. It's your letter dated March 3rd in regards to the it was the letter that you provided the day after you met with Aaron Besh, and then as well as the impact notice of assessment and the assessment notice, as well as the map that outlines the properties that you'll be talking about. So
right.
That'll assist us in the discussion. So I'll let you go ahead.
Okay, basically that what I'm trying to do is realign the boundaries on the three farms. The roll numbers are there. I would like to have there's 131 acres total there. That would have the severance of the two houses, and I got a call coming here now.
Well, you better decline that one.
Oh, well, it's bringing me out of this. But anyway, I would like to come up with the three farms amalgamated together with the two houses severed off as shown on the two maps with the houses brought in, and have the ability on the farmland remaining, because there's three properties now, that if I ever sold that, I would like to be able to still build a house on it, if you could.
Okay. And yep, questions from Councillor Clark?
Alan, so do you live in one of those two houses now?
I don't live in either of those two houses. I live in the next house over,
Okay.
right beside those two.
Okay, and is it on any of these 3 farm parcels?
No.
No, okay, thank you.
Okay, is there any questions from Deputy Mayor Hendricks or Councillor McKinnon? Okay, thank you. Councillor McKinnon, you said not at this time?
Not at this time. Sorry, I had my mute on.
Okay. And yeah, there we go.
Are all these maps, are they all oriented? They don't seem to be oriented the same way, so I'm having a hard time picturing. But basically the 2 houses are on the corners of the properties.
Well, the house that I've shown the severance to be flag shaped, it's pretty much in the center of the 30-acre piece.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it-
I know
and-
that place.
And then the 50 acres is directly behind it that has no house on it at all. And then the other 51 acres is beside it.
Okay. With the
And that
house along Wood Road.
Right.
And there's a house on that 51 acres?
Yes.
Thanks.
So just out of curiosity, how did this landlocked parcel come to be?
It has been that way for a number, well, I'm not sure how many years, but it was that way when I bought it. And the taxes on it when I bought it were a couple $100. Now, when it went through MPAC with the sale, then all of a sudden I got a bill for, $6,000 or $7,000. So I went back to MPAC, and the fellow at MPAC said, that being a landlocked property, that should be addressed. But he said, you can apply, and there's no way that you should be taxed anymore. He said, I'll help you do it. He said, with it being landlocked like that, you shouldn't have any more than a couple $100 worth of taxes on that thing. Said, the previous owner let there be taxes on it. He said, there's many of them up north that there is no tax base on it. So, but he said he wouldn't say that you would get away from that, but he said, you should try to address it. And I said, well, I'd like to get rid of the 2 houses and make 1 farm, but I'd still like to be able to build on that farm because, it's 127 acres thereabouts when it's finished, and there's plenty of road access that someone that purchased it would be able to build down the road when I die, another 100 years. They may well want to build a house on it. Makes it more valuable that way.
Councillor McKinnon, you have a question?
Through you, Mayor Curtis, to Mr. McRoberts. On that landlocked parcel, is that all woodlot that's showing there and very little area, like worked property or parcel? Land, I guess I'm trying to say.
Yes, but we are, it is a woodlot, and it was pasture, and it's grown up heavily in thorns.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay. Aaron, I guess the question to you is, how do we move forward with this? Or I'm not sure exactly what the conversation was back in March when you had that meeting. So some thoughts from the planning perspective.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor Smith. So I believe when I met with Mr. McRoberts, we had discussed the severances of the 2 houses. houses, sorry. And that doesn't seem to have much of an issue. We went through what's required under our OPA 10 in terms of, does he own multiple parcels, how old are the homes, and in the different criteria that it would be required. And I think we came up with sort of outlines of the properties that we didn't have any issues with. I believe that Mr. McRoberts' main concern with this is the requirement to rezone the retained lands to agriculture only to prevent additional homes from being purchased or from being built in the future. So I've been sort of putting my mind to how we can work this. You know, if it's a matter of do we sever the two homes first so that we would retain, or sorry, we would rezone the two retained parcels. However, that would retain the zoning, the A1 zoning for the landlocked parcel. So if Mr. McRoberts goes through the process or the exercise of then merging the three parcels, you know, the zoning would still be there, that there is that chunk that would be able to have a home built on it. So that's just sort of from the planning perspective. If he isn't interested in merging the three lots, that is not a township requirement. There's nothing that, you know, we don't need approval from either the planning department or from yourselves. That's a process through the land registry office and an application for consolidation of parcels that I would suggest Mr. McRoberts undertake with his solicitor. But I would be happy to answer any further questions that anyone has.
Okay, Councilor Clark.
So if I understand you correctly, Aaron, he has the ability, because these two homes are surplus farm dwellings, he has the ability to sever those. There is no requirement to consolidate the three farms. And if he did, so if he wants, you can't have your cake and eat it too, Alan. So if you were able to sever the two houses, keep the three properties separate, then you would have the option of the 50 acres that has no house. Then there would be an opportunity down the road to build on that. But the minute you amalgamate all three of those, you lose that opportunity. Is that correct, Aaron?
It's sort of my understanding that, you know, once they all become one parcel, it's pretty black and white that we rezone the severed lot to surplus dwelling and we rezone the retained lot. So whatever shape that is, there's no requirement or provisions that outline what size that is or how much percentage of the lot. To me, it's we rezone this and we rezone that. And if they're all one lot, then it's sort of the intent of the policy to prevent that from happening.
Mhm. Yeah.
So Aaron, just going back to Sue's question there. So if they were merged, if two of those properties were merged after there was a surplus farm dwelling severance, one property is zoned A, the other property is zoned AO for the agriculture only, so there would be no house. But if they were merged together, the lands, the zoning, there would just be two different zones on that property. Correct?
That's my opinion, yes.
So then would that allow for a dwelling to be built there at a later date?
Yes, if there's just the general agriculture zone on that third parcel, I would be of the opinion that another house could be built.
Okay, is there any other questions at all?
Yeah, my question is
Right.
that if that being the case, that if I'm forced to do them through access dwelling severances, then why would I amalgamate the three properties until such time that I need to do that? I may as well go back to the fellow at MPAC and have this reverted back to tax rate A that is a very low tax rate. You're not losing the ability to, what I'm proposing is that if you guys would give me the severances, I would put the three together as long as I maintain the ability to build the house. It has to be good for all, not just for the township.
Okay, and I think I had a question or comment from Deputy Mayor Hendricks.
Yeah, I was just curious where you've got the flag shaped lot that you'd like to eventually build a house on. Where on that property is it? Is it north of the house that's in the middle of the lot, or is it on the other side?
The flag-shaped lot is the lot of an existing house that's coming off of the 30 acre parcel.
The triangle, the almost triangle shaped part.
Right.
So oh, you're talking about the Severance being a flag shape.
Right.
Oh, okay. I thought that was where the proposal of where the third house would go.
I'm not currently interested in building a third house, but what
Okay.
I'm not wanting to have two severance access dwelling severances and then having it assumed that you would not be able to build a house because you have 3 properties there. You should still be, so when you amalgamate the finale of the 3 properties, the balance of the 3 properties, I would like it that I still have the ability to build a house when I sell that property. I'm not going to build another house. I have a new one there.
Okay.
Okay, is there any other questions or comments from members of council? Okay, I just want to, if I could, I'll just make a couple comments myself. I do understand what Alan is saying. He has 3 properties. He does have the ability right now to build a house on that landlocked piece. It's just a matter of whether that means it has to be merged with another property or to gain an easement through one of those properties to get to it. So there is that ability. I understand the frustration of in the future, whether that means, you know, going through a surplus farm dwelling severances or what it has to be merged. But I think the fact is that there are 3 properties. The ability to build a house on each one is there. There's already 2 of those properties have a house built on it. I think considering he's willing to merge those 3 properties into one with still the ability to build a house, I don't think it's I don't think it's negative at all. I think it's a positive. I think it kind of makes sense. I think it makes more sense than doing a surplus farm dwelling severance on those 2 houses and then merging the landlocked piece with something or getting an easement and having a house kind of back really far from the road. So if an application was to come forward, I wouldn't see an issue with either having a condition that say for instance the house with the on the triangle property could be severed off as a surplus farm dwelling severance, and one of the conditions would be that it has to be merged with that landlocked piece, and then there'd be no rezoning. It would just still be agricultural, so he has the ability to build a house on it in the future. I see no issue with that because there are 3 properties and realistically he has the ability to build that 3rd house. It's just a matter of, does it make sense to be that far back from the road? And I don't think it makes any sense to be that far back. So that's my thought. I'm not sure if there's other members of council that's thinking the same way as I am, but if an application was to come forward, I wouldn't have an issue with supporting something along those lines. Yeah, Councillor McKinnon?
Would it be justified if we asked Planner Aaron to do a report and set out? I find it confusing to look at the maps as we've got them here and try to picture it as, you know, it's stated here. So if we could have Aaron draw it out and present it to us and make it so that we aren't landlocking that one property. Would that be in order?
So with that, Councilor McKinnon, the issue with having Aaron prepare a report, a planning report, is that anyone in the municipality would be able to come forward and ask for a planning report without an application. And we don't,
Oh, I see.
yeah, we don't have a way of recouping costs if an application was not brought forward.
Okay.
So if everybody had the ability to ask for a planning report, and then if it was in favor of what they would like to do, then they would do it. And then obviously if the planning report's not in favor, then they wouldn't. So we wouldn't be able to recoup those costs.
So noted.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any other questions or comments on this one? Is there any comments on what I said, just to give Alan kind of an indication of what options he could have going forward? Seeing none. Or Councilor McKinnon?
Basically, I don't have a problem as long as we're not creating a landlocked parcel again, so.
Okay.
So your suggestion to me then is to do what?
So I think what I was suggesting was following the idea of what our planner said, Aaron, which is going through the surplus farm dwelling severance application for both properties. And my thought would be for one of those, the recommendation and one of the conditions would be that you have to merge the landlocked piece with one of the retained parcels, and that the zoning does not change. And that it was agricultural, the same as a landlocked piece, and then you'd have the ability to build a house on that property if you wanted to in the future. Because right now you have the ability to build a third house. I don't think you should lose that ability to do that.
So then I would have to pay for 2 severance zonings or access dwelling applications. Is that what you're telling me? I'm gonna have to do that?
With the example that I'm suggesting, you would have to do 2 severance applications and 1 rezoning application.
Well, I see that to be quite expensive for me to do that, to get the township into a positive manner. Yes, I do want to get rid of the houses, but I feel that the expense should be shared between myself and the township. Yes. So if there is some sort of a middle of the road, then yes, I would be definitely interested.
I understand your thoughts, but I can't agree with you. Deputy Mayor Hendricks.
Yeah, it was just my thought is that there is really not an advantage that the township is gaining by the joining or the severing of the properties.
Well, yes, because they put the taxes up quite considerably, and the MPAC and myself feel that we will force them to go back to a couple $100 a year on that, as opposed to where it's being proposed to be.
On the landlocked piece.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree that it's quite problematic to start subsidizing different wishes of different municipal landowners.
Mm-hmm.
It is tricky because the lots are triangular and they're not greatly shaped along the road. Like once you put the flag lot in to sever that house, you've got a funky little triangle on the other side of it. So
I think I think council has provided a lot of input on this prior to an application coming forward. And I'm not sure if, I know Councillor Clark, you had your hand up, but we do have another delegation for 7:30. So if there's anything else at all that will help guide Alan in how to proceed, I think it's best if we move on. Is there any other comments at all from members of council? Okay, seeing none. So Alan, I think there's a lot of information, a lot of thoughts from members of council. So hopefully you'll be able to have some better idea of what you'd like to do with those 3 parcels in your 2 dwellings that you have there. And hopefully this has been some positive out of it, that you'll see that council is open to some different ideas. And we look forward to hopefully seeing a planning application coming forward.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so it is 7:30, and I'll just wait until Alan is off there. And I think we have a number of county staff that's going to be joining us soon. Either Morgan or Jennifer, I'm not sure who's. Morgan, I see that. Perfect. There we go. Okay, I think we have everybody on here that there we go. Perfect. Okay, so it's 7:30. So we have the County of Middlesex, a number of staff here, and they're going to be providing us with kind of the next steps and all the projects that we'll be looking at over the next 6 months during our servicing agreement or consulting agreement, whatever we want to call it. So what I'll do is I'll hand it over to Morgan, which is our township manager, through this consulting agreement, and you'll work us through this next delegation. Morgan.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We brought the county folks here just to be able to provide council an opportunity to see the faces that are helping us through some of these projects and things that we need to take care of. So I wanted to get Bill to start, and then we'll just kind of work our way through. I think everybody knows Bill.
Hi, everyone. Yep, this is unfortunately the face that is part of helping. It's the best I could do. We'll have to blame my dad for these genetics, but it's exciting. So far, we've been having a great opportunity to get to know the organization and to dig in, and Morgan's been doing a great job of helping on site. I guess, Morgan, do you want me to just talk about the 3 things that I'm responsible for at the moment, or?
Sure, yeah, your general thoughts of how the service agreement's kind of set up and what we're trying to do.
Yeah, so as you can see, we have a lot of great talent that's going to help, and I'm really excited about just how far we've been able to move the yardsticks already. And I think most of you know that we're managing all the projects using project management software that I know Morgan's going to give council members access to, so you can follow along with each one of our steps. But everybody you're going to meet tonight has specific projects. The next 3 items that are on my list, I guess everything's technically on my list, but next 3 projects that I'm going to be working on are on tomorrow. I have a meeting about the servicing agreement for Highway 81. And so Curtis and I have talked a little bit about that, but I want to try and move that project along as fast as we can, as carefully as we can. So I'm going to take some responsibility and ownership of that. Chris is going to be helping me out tomorrow. We have a meeting about that. I'm also working on transformation money. It's highly likely there's going to be additional transformation money available simply because of COVID. A lot of municipalities have pulled back on some of their transformation projects. And so I've been reaching out to the ministry, talking to them about what other opportunities there are to either repurpose the money that you've already received or get more transformation money. So I'm working on that with the minister's office, and we can talk about what some of the projects we might try to do with that. But I think that there's a lot of work that needs to be done just on the reorganization, both from a facilities perspective and just from a organizational design perspective. So there seems to be an opportunity to get, even though the deadline's passed, there should be some opportunity there to try to wedge in some more funding to try and get some of the work done that we want to get done. And then there's one more, Morgan, that I'm responsible for that is transformation servicing agreement. There's another one too that it's not coming to me at the moment. It didn't come to me either, Curtis, when we were talking earlier today. But anyways, the next 4 days, I'm hoping to make progress on each of those little projects and be able to get a good head start on them. The other thing too is that I think, Morgan, you're going to talk a little bit about giving council access to Asana, but I really do like the idea of having transparency where every councillor can see my steps. So when you do get access to it, I'll just jump a little bit ahead. You'll see we've broken things down into different categories: administrative, public works, human resources, and then there's each individual step. And then feel free to say, well, hey, I thought, how did you miss this step or that step? Like, we'd like feedback on this, but we've drawn out the strategy to get through our 6 months as much accomplished as possible on Asana, and you'll get a good look at that, I think, as soon as Morgan's got it ready for public consumption. I guess that's it for me. And then my other job is to just get the team together twice a week to review all the projects we're working on individually. And then what we do is we come together, like last week, what day was it, Morgan? Thursday we came together. And then there's things that Chris can add value to that I'm working on, and I can add value to that Jessica's working on, and so on and so forth. So we just brainstorm collectively twice a week about the work that we're all doing individually and try to help each other with our thoughts. And so that's the way it's working so far. So far, so good, I think.
Yep.
I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah,
How's
so
that,
Bill, that was perfect. Thank you, Bill. Bill mentioned the project management software. Basically, what I was going to do is put it into something that's a little bit more easy to chew on, give it timelines, priorities, and tasks from a high level, so that council has an opportunity to prioritize or reprioritize some of the things that we're thinking that need to be done. So we did get a list from everybody. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for pulling that together. There is quite a bit of overlap in some of the tasks, but it seems like, you know, I've talked to most of you individually about this, but every time we flip over a rock, there's an entire root system attached to that rock, which is kind of bringing other priorities to the top. So I think we're getting there. You know, Jen and I joke all the time that the list just gets a little bit longer. So it's getting to a point where we just need to prioritize. We need to look at you know, what's appropriate for 6 months. There's going to be a few things that start, but we're going to really make sure that we're documenting everything very well, so that when there is a transition beyond the 6 months and council has made a new decision as how to proceed, then we're in a really good shape, so it's a seamless transition, rather than just thinking that we can get everything done in 6 months, not being successful at that, and then just creating a new mess. So we're trying to really make it nice and clean and seamless, so that everybody has an opportunity to really see what's going on. So,
And I think we want to leave tools and strategies beyond the 6 months as well, so that we know that we're not going to get everything done, but we're going to go on, and we're going to get a lot started, and then we're going to leave the tools and strategies there to help finish up.
Is it just my internet, or is it everybody's? Is Bill slowing down?
I think it's actually Bill this time.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was like.
Okay, I guess this is a good
It's
opportunity.
not very often I've been called slow.
Uh-oh, we might have to park Bill for a couple minutes. Does council have any questions for Bill at this time? No? Okay, Jess, why don't you take a crack at it?
All right. I'm Jessica Nye, and I am the Human Resources Manager at the county. I have been helping Morgan with a variety of tasks, but I think the two most important on my list are an organizational review, which will help understand the roles and responsibilities of staff and to align those responsibilities with the strategic direction of council. My second, and probably the biggest one, is probably going to take the longest, is the development of a compensation grid. It will be a multi-step process, which will include a review of all job descriptions, interviews with staff to understand and recognize the job duties and responsibilities that they have, compare and update findings, so update the job descriptions, rate the jobs based on the updated job descriptions, complete a market review, develop the actual compensation grid, and then implementation. So it's a big process and it's going to take some time, but I'm coming out on Wednesday to start the process.
Yeah, thank you, Jess. So yeah, as Jess said, the biggest thing that she's going to be working on is that grid, compensation grid development. And that's actually going to feed into a lot of other HR things that we're going to need to kind of look at what the municipality is doing to Bill's point, build some of those capabilities and ingrain additional capacity into staff. Really, we heard this one from council loud and clear. Almost everybody had mentioned something about the compensation and making sure that it reflected today. So thanks, Jess. Offer an opportunity for council to ask any questions in that regard. No? Okay, so Jess is going to be, I'm not sure if I mentioned this to everybody around council, but our first in a while management meeting is happening on Wednesday morning, and Jess is going to be a part of that because there's a lot of HR things that we have to discuss. Thank you, Jess. Cindy, how are you doing?
Good, once I find my button. It's usually me that has to slow down because I live in the county too. So hopefully my internet holds out for this. So thanks very much, Morgan. And it's great to meet all of you at Adelaide Metcalfe. I'm Cindy Howard, and I'm responsible for finance and community services. So community services includes Ontario Works, childcare, and homeless prevention. However, my task to help with you guys is on the finance piece. So my first item that has already come to light, and I've already had staff out there starting today, I believe one of my staff members went out there, was to help with some of the payroll. So kind of go in there and take a look and see what's working well, where there's improvements that are required, and then really to get in there and dig in and actually assist in some of the processes to get you through the next few months. And I guess the second biggest piece, and while Morgan was talking about that project management, I had to look up my email and say, oh yeah, what was I responsible for again? I hope I've got them all right, but I guess one of the huge ones I would say is the finance role. So it's really coming out there, and I kind of call step one and step two. So step one is looking at your current processes and seeing what's going on and how do we make some improvements. But the second piece would then be, okay, in the long term, what do we do? So I think you have some outstanding revenue items that we need to dig into a little bit, some expenditures. I know for a levy point of view, I need to know what's happening at Adelaide Metcalfe so I can feed it back to the county. But there's a lot of those kind of issues. I'd also like probably to meet with your auditor, or at least look at the financial statements and say, what kind of report did you get in the past? Did anybody follow up on those issues? That type of thing. And I think there was also something assigned around budget. So looking at your budget process and seeing if I can help any way to make improvements with that. And then I guess my last one would be, maybe that's it. Maybe it was just the two big ones, the finance, the audit, and the payroll. Did I miss something, Morgan?
Oh, that was perfect. If you touched on everything, we'd probably be here for another little while. So I guess you did talk about the payroll a little bit. I'm not sure how much council is aware about a couple of collaborative modernization projects that we're looking at. So this one was led by actually Cindy and myself pre-pandemic, where we were going to look at payroll capacity and capabilities across the county to see how we can, build capacity increase expertise, provide some kind of continuity. We heard that a lot of, well, those that have payroll staff, they were having a hard time even going on vacation because payroll happens every 2 weeks. And it's a difficult process to just hand over to somebody else temporarily. So what we're really looking at doing now, and what Cindy's been helping us with, is fixing current payroll processes in kind of its current state, so that when we go do that broader municipal modernization program, which is a service delivery review of payroll services across the county, then we really know what we're looking at and what we can do to kind of shift some roles and responsibilities around so that we're providing an effective service. So I just kind of wanted to mention that project to council. Cindy, did I forget anything in there on that one?
No, but I just want to let you know that we've just started the process. We've just hired the consultant, so we're just in the middle of rolling that out. So you haven't missed anything, and you'll be part of the review as well. So I physically haven't gone out there yet, but I'm hoping, Morgan, maybe next week that I would go out there. But one of my payroll junior and financial analysts came out today to assist.
Yeah, and that was
So
Deb, and she was great.
Great.
So any questions for Cindy from council? No, looks good. All right, Mr. Trainee, you're up.
Yeah, thanks, Morgan. Hi, everybody. Those of you who don't know me, I think I know most of the faces from around the screen here. I'm Chris Trainee. I'm county engineer, deputy CAO, and really I'm coming to the table to help with projects that are right in my wheelhouse. So a number of different capital projects that I know you've already started the process. They're at different stages, but the Kerwood Park rehabilitation and rebuild, I'm getting involved with that. I know there's a fast track to get your head office, your municipal offices refurbished and rehabilitated. We did meet with the consultant last week, and we're going to move forward on that project. Just presented some new ideas, some different thoughts about that. Certainly something that I've done in the past. And another thing that I've done several times is garage consolidation, and I know that's something you're trying to do as well. And working with Coulter and your public works folks to look into the future for Adelaide Metcalfe with regards to efficiencies for your facilities. So there's a number of things in the air, and I've worked for years with Bill and Morgan and Curtis, and we're certainly throwing a lot of ideas out there. This is the time to make sure what we're doing right. These are decisions that are going to last for 20 years or plus. There's lots of things we can do, and not considering all the alternatives at the outset can be challenging. So we'll be back with some alternatives for you to look at, but we still anticipate to move fairly quickly. The other thing is, Coulter and I have been working together since day one when you promoted him from within, and he certainly has worked well with myself and my staff, and we're here to support Coulter and his staff. One thing I just wanted to say generally, we've got this 6-month time frame. We've been here for many years before the 6 months started, and we're not going anywhere after. So we're here to provide support. That's the role. My vision, all the time I've been with the county is working together as a team. We try to support one another whenever we can. Coulter will tell you we have a very sort of open working relationship in the public works side, and I would say that happens across the board, whether it's through our finance, our IT, even through our administration with Bill. I think that we're here for the long haul with everybody, not just Adelaide Metcalfe, but all of our local municipalities. So we're certainly going to be there, and I'm there to be a support to Coulter, to any other things that I can do with the municipality going forward. So I think that's sort of where I'm working at for the next few months, Morgan.
Thank you, Chris. You made mention to a couple of the projects. Chris was actually a big help on Thursday last week. We had Spriets out to talk about the municipal office renovations. We talked about the Kerwood Park improvements. So we're going to be throwing some ideas at council over the next couple of weeks so that we can get some of those projects locked down. We have realized that we needed to take a bit of a second look from the beginning in some of these areas. So we're hoping not to delay things too much further, but we really do need to dig into some of these questions and start to re-ask them again, just so that as Chris mentions, these are 20+ year decisions, and they can't be made lightly. So just so council is aware, we'll be throwing some information at you folks soon. and then just kind of bringing you along as we go. So for now, I'll park it there and ask if there's any questions for Mr. Trainee. I think we got one from Sue.
Sue, you're on mute.
I don't get to unmute people anymore.
Yeah. So Chris, are sidewalks under your bailiwick? Is that your?
Yeah, so anything to do with public works infrastructure is certainly under my expertise. And I know that you've got a sidewalk contract out there. That's in my longer list of things to do.
Okay.
Certainly been talking to Coulter about that a fair bit. So it's something else I'll help along with.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I guess, Mr. Mayor, I'll pass it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Morgan, and thank you, Bill, Jessica, Chris, and Cindy. I think everything that you hit on with kind of the high level of what you guys will be looking after covers off the majority of the list that council members have. So I think we'll be in really good shape in the next within the next 6 months. And like you said, some of those projects will be longer than 6 months, but I think we're going to be we'll have some good processes and policies in place, and a lot of helping hands going forward. As Morgan keeps on reminding me, it's not just after 6 months. It's you know, that's it. There you go. There'll still be some. So you know, there'll be a few more emails and phone calls to make sure things roll along. But I'm quite happy, you know, with the work that's already happened in the last, what is it, week, 2 weeks. I know Jennifer, I think you're enjoying the support in the office, as well as all the members in our office and the roads department and the fire department as well. So I think it's a very positive agreement that we put together, and I think it's working out really well. And I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of these items that have been on a list for a long time get a check mark on, you know, on them, and get them off the list and put them in the done pile. So thank you so much.
Are we going
Thanks,
now?
guys. Yep, you guys can go if you'd like. Otherwise, you're welcome to stick around.
Hi, Aaron. Bye, Aaron.
Thank you.
Bye.
Guys,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Nice to meet you.
And speaking of Aaron, I don't see anything else on the agenda for planning items. So you can stick around if you want, unless I missed something. Is there anything else? Okay, you can join us for the rest of the meeting. I didn't know you wanted to.
I'll head out with my partners here.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks, Aaron.
See you soon.
Thank you so much.
Bye, Aaron. Thanks.
Alrighty. Is there any questions at all with the comments and the presentation from county staff at all? Is there any comments at all from members of council before we move on to Coulter's next report? Seeing none. Coulter, we'll get back to you. It took a while to get to your second report, but we're back.
Oh, that's all right. Thank you, Mayor Smith. My second and final report is just a quick information report. It's not so long-winded. Just kind of keeping you guys in the loop here. Our maintenance gravel contract started May 21st, and it's almost complete. Second, our dust suppressant is well underway. It's aiming to be finished by June 5th, weather permitting. We got our sidewalk tender back in today from Driven Engineering, so I'm just going over everything on that. Hoping to have it out this week, as well as the stone chip tender and single service treatment tender. So we're moving right along.
Excellent. Thank you, Coulter. Is there any questions at all for Coulter in the Public Works Department? Seeing none, we just need a motion to resolve that council receive the Public Works information report as presented by the Public Works Manager. Councillor Clark, seconded by Deputy Mayor Hendricks. All those in favor? And that's carried. Okay, so our next staff report is from our clerk and acting treasurer, Jennifer.
Thanks, Mayor Smith. So my first report is regarding the cost of living adjustment report. This was discussed in closed session at May 13th, and it's just being brought out to open session to formalize and put it to the public regarding the cost of living raise that was approved by council.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Is there any question at all on this one? Shouldn't be. It's pretty straightforward. So we have the motion to resolve that council receive the cost of living adjustment staff report as presented by the clerk. Okay, Councillor McKinnon and Deputy Mayor Hendricks. All those in favor? And that's carried. And then the second motion for that is resolved that council approve the 2% cost of living adjustment increase to all staff and council retroactive to January 1st, 2020. Okay, Deputy Mayor Hendricks and Councillor McKinnon. All those in favor? And that's carried.
My next report is just putting a bylaw as per the Municipal Act for the appointment of acting treasurer. So again, that was discussed in closed session, and it's just coming out into open and to pass the bylaw and the bylaws under bylaws for appointment.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. So we have the motion there to receive the report. Okay, Councillor Clark, seconded by Deputy Mayor Hendricks. All those in favor? And that's carried. And the next one is to appoint Clerk Jennifer Turk as the interim treasurer. Mover and seconder. Councillor McKinnon and Councillor Clark. All those in favor? And that's carried.
And my last report is accounts payable listing from May 15th to May 28th. And it's in the amount of $95,000, $107.86. And out of the $95,000, we've made some big leaps and bounds in this office with our financial assistant, where out of that $95,000, there's only 9 of it that's checks. The rest is through AFT or EFT.
Excellent. Thank you, Jennifer. Is there any questions at all on the accounts?
No, I'm glad to see that it's more efficiently being executed now.
Councillor McKinnon?
Through you, Mayor Curtis, to Jennifer. On the last page under Spreed Associates, the drainage map updates, 372290, are they available now in the office?
No, they're not available now in the office. That was from the 2019 budget that council approved for the new drainage maps.
Okay.
We've received it electronically. We just haven't received the mounted and the paper copies yet.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other questions at all? No? I will just echo the comments of Jennifer. It's great that we're able to have less checks. It makes my life a little easier as well during COVID-19 to be able to just log in online on the Libro website and approve those, making sure that everything's good. And it just makes things a lot easier. And if you think about the cost of sending out checks and mailing those, it's a small amount to put the postage on it, but it adds up when you think about it in the entire year. So it's a great improvement. That looks like all the reports from you, Jennifer. So we'll go on to the next staff report, which is from our township manager, Morgan.
Just before Morgan starts, can I get a motion to approve the account?
Oh, sorry. I was too excited about the electronic stuff. And that's why you're the clerk, to keep us in line. Councillor Clark, seconded by Councillor McKinnon. All those in favor? And that's carried.
Thank
Just
you.
that one I missed?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
all good. Thank you.
All right, Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the rest of council. Excited to give you my first report as acting township manager. This is around the shared building services department. I'm sure everyone around the table is well aware of this project, but in a nutshell, it's a shared service arrangement with Southwest Middlesex, North Middlesex, and the Township of Adelaide Metcalfe. to provide chief building official services. So the report's primarily just an update. I wanted to let council know where we are in this file. I know it's extremely important for Southwest Middlesex and North Middlesex that we get moving on this, not to mention ourselves. But we did successfully hire the new chief building official for the township. That's an appointment bylaw coming to you shortly on the agenda. Our next steps really are we want to make sure that because the building season's coming, we have a lot of work to do. We were trying to squish the timelines a little bit for the new chief building official in that we still have to hire a building inspector and find some administrative capacity within the current staff complement at the township. So really the big one is to hire a building inspector. And so Jessica from the county, who you just met moments ago, she's been working on developing the job description for the building inspector. We've been in contact with the incoming CBO. So we are well aware of the strategy, but essentially, in a nutshell, what we're trying to do is just get the recruitment process out of the way while we're waiting for the CBO to start on June 22nd. What that allows us to do is just remove about 3 weeks of time from the time that she starts to the time that we actually get a building inspector. So what the new CBO is going to do is she's going to have a pile of resumes that we have sifted through the first time to make sure that we're looking at things like minimum qualifications and experience for the role. And then the new CBO will get a pile and she can continue their selection process and then into the interviews. So we're just trying to squish some time there. Once the CBO comes on board, we're going to be looking at all of our existing building permits or processes or anything else building related. We are in conversations with the current CBO, Paul, in that we would like to extend their contract about 4 weeks to ensure the incoming CBO has enough time for things like knowledge transfer, the ability to identify any gaps or anything that's coming up. Both Southwest Middlesex and North Middlesex, from my understanding, are in good shape until we get some of these new processes in place and we start implementing the shared service framework. So any future decisions that need to come will come in the form of a report to council. There are, of course, financial impacts to the shared service, but not directly to this report. So at this time, I'll open it up to council for any questions.
Is there any questions at all for members of council? I don't see anybody jumping up and down. No. There you go. You got a good report. No questions.
Perfect. I love it.
Excellent. So we just have the one motion there that's to resolve that council receive the chief building official / joint building services shared service update as presented by the acting township manager. That's moved by Deputy Mayor Hendricks, seconded by Councilor McKinnon. All those in favor? And that's carried. Okay. I think that brings us to other business. Is there anything from members of council? Yeah, Councilor Clark.
Jennifer, how did it go on the weekend with I'm assuming Saturday was the first go around at the landfill with the square? How did that all go for the payment? And do you have any idea how many cars went through and how that worked?
We had 57 vehicles go through, so that's quite a few. That'll be the most that we've had since COVID has taken place. I can't recall the amount of dollars we did on the square, but we did do some on as debit through the square, so that worked out quite well. We still have people that want to pay cash and check, and unfortunately we can't deny those kinds of payments, but we have we've done a poster to put at the landfill to just let them know that preferred payment is debit. However, cash and check are still accepted forms, but it did go very well on Saturday.
Good, thank you.
Perfect. Is there anything else for other business? Yeah, Deputy Hendricks.
Yeah, when the flyer came out, I know when we talked about the blue bins and things getting circulated, there was some talk about putting a bin at the township office or somewhere else so that if people couldn't make the 2 weeks, they would have some place to bring their recyclables. Has that happened? Because it's if there is a bin somewhere people can use, it's not on the flyer.
I know that was talked about at the beginning, but I don't think that was ever addressed going forward.
Okay, because I think that it might be something to look into. It'll take. I've had a couple of comments that that bin might not last 2 weeks.
Okay, and I know from personal experience. So my sister, she lives over in Brook Alpenston, and they also have the biweekly pickup there. And I know that they were often filling up one of those large bins. So they just simply called it Blue Water Recycling, and they were able to get a second recycling container because the recycling's at no cost. So maybe that could be an ability as well. If we weren't able to have that one central location, say at the Adelaide shop, that those individuals that are needing to have a second bin for recyclables, they'd be able to get a hold of Blue Water Recycling for that second wheelie bin.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep, Councillor Clark.
So through you, the Mayor, to Marianne. Now, when Francis from Blue Water Recycling came to do his pitch to council, he indicated that these bins were bigger and better, and they had a spring lock on them and all of that. And the ones that we got at our house here, they don't have any spring anything on them, and when the wind blows, the lid blows open. So can you speak to that? Like, is this did we get the end of the line of the ones they already had in inventory, or was he not communicating?
No, we're really windy here, and we didn't get. I asked him how they determined that, and they said they put them on the busy highways because the trucks are what blows them over. I haven't had mine out.
So some people do have ones that are spring. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't
well,
get
we'll
one.
See how it goes. Tomorrow's the first pickup. Tomorrow's the first pickup, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. It's usually windiest on Wednesdays, so we'll see if that changes now.
Well, we had to pick it up across the road from, we have our bins about a third of the way down the laneway, and our recyclables were in the field across the road, so we retrieved those this morning. So we'll have to come up with a different approach, maybe.
Actually, that was going to be one of the things I was going to say under other business, is just to remind everybody on the south side of the township that it's the first time for our wheelie bin system. So hopefully everybody has them out tomorrow. The other thing I just wanted to mention, I received an email regarding one of the cemeteries that we maintain at the township. And I believe, so I forwarded that on to Morgan. I think Coulter or Jennifer looked after that. I just wanted to see if anybody else received any complaints about grass cutting at all so far this year.
Nope.
Seeing none. And Coulter or Morgan, do you want to address if that was all cleaned up or what the status was?
Yeah, so Coulter.
Again, Morgan, or you go ahead.
Yeah, so I know that Coulter was in contact with the contractor, and they were having some equipment issues. So we weren't aware of those equipment issues. So Coulter made sure to put a process in place that the contractor will report back to us when and if they are having issues, so that we can appropriately deal with it.
Perfect.
And thank you, Coulter.
That was perfect.
Okay, so if there's nothing else for other business, we'll jump into our bylaws. Okay, seeing none, so we have a few bylaws here. So we need a motion to resolve that all three readings be given to bylaw number 28 of 2020, appoint joint chief building official. Bylaw number 29 of 2020, appoint acting treasurer. bylaw number 30 of 2020, the Conkey Drain Branch A, and bylaw number 31 of 2020, confirm council proceedings, and that the bylaws be signed by the mayor and clerk and the corporate seal be attached. Okay, Councilor McKinnon.
Just a comment on the bylaw 3 or 30 of 2020, the Conkey Drain Branch A. I think you can only give it first and second readings until after the quarter revision. So the others might receive 3, but on that one, it'll just be 2.
Good eye. Okay, so what we'll do is when we do a motion just for bylaw number 30 for the first and second reading, and then we'll do the 28, 29, and 31.
Yep.
So mover and seconder for the first and second reading of bylaw number 30 of 2020, the Conkey Drain Branch A. Councilor McKinnon and Councilor Clark, all those in favor? Okay, and that's carried, and that's why we always love to have clerks come on as councilors later on.
Oh, yeah, right.
There you go. And we need a motion to resolve that all 3 readings be given to bylaws number 28, 29, and 31, and that the bylaws be signed by the mayor and clerk and the corporate seal be attached. Okay, Deputy Mayor Hendricks and Councilor McKinnon, all those in favor? And that's carried. And now, if there's nothing else, we don't. Sorry, Morgan.
Yeah, sorry. I just want to circle back around to something that Bill mentioned during his introduction. I'm not sure how aware council is of Adelaide Metcalfe applied for a municipal modernization program for a service delivery review of fire services. I'm not sure if you're aware of that that application at all, but what I'm hoping to propose, and I don't need a decision or anything, just basically a general understanding of council's wishes. But what I'd really like to do is talk to the province, particularly the Ministry of Municipal Affairs, in reallocating, because that money's already been allocated to the township. I'd hate to leave that money on the table. So if there was an opportunity to repurpose that money to a financial audit, I was hoping to be able to talk to the province about that discussion. So I'm just kind of looking for a general understanding of council that we would forego the fire services review project in place of a financial audit, so that we can kind of take a look at a closer deep dive into our finances. I think that would be really useful for administration moving forward. Sound good?
Yeah. I know Morgan and I talked about that, and I think it's the right approach. I think we have an excellent fire department. I don't think we need to do a review on our fire department at all. And I think if the funds are sitting there waiting for Adelaide Metcalfe, I think that's the right way to go at this time, is to do more of the financial audit compared to looking at fire services. So I think, yeah.
Okay. Good. I don't want to leave any money on the table, and if it's already been allocated to Adelaide Metcalfe and it's just a scope change, then we'll have that conversation and see what we can do.
Good.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Excellent. If there is nothing else, we need a motion to adjourn at 8:15. Okay, Deputy Hendricks and Councilor McKinnon, all those in favor? And that's carried. Surprised we got through that in an hour and 15 minutes with all the county staff on there.
That was awesome.